24 minutes on my phone. I'll finish it in 24 minutes. So the Northerns do not like the Southerns. The Southerns do not like the Northerns. The Northerns look down on the Southerns. They have no respect for them. The Southerns are in awe of the Northerns when they see them. You'll see what I mean by that. The Southerns are in awe of the Northerns. Whenever a Northern comes to the South, the Southerns are in awe because it's very rare for a Northern to come down to the South, obviously. Hence, when Tacky is, I don't want to spoil the story for you. So when a Northern comes to the South, the Southerns are shocked because it's very rare. Because the Northerns have high status, wealth, position. You know what I'm saying? The Southerns are shocked whenever a Northerner comes to the South. Hence, they're in awe of the Northerns, obviously, because they're of high status, wealth, and position, obviously. And the Southerns have no respect. The Southerns do not what? The Southerns see the Northerns as arrogant, obviously. As arrogant people, obviously. Hence why they don't like them. They don't like them either, obviously. You'll find out that when you read the book, obviously. Yeah. Right? Every Southern's dream is to live in Zanus. Obviously, right? You'll follow me when you read the book. But the road to Zanus is dangerous. Why? Right? There are two paths to Zanus. The first path is through what? It's through the area near Barak. Right. So there are two paths to Zanus. The first is through the area near Barak, obviously. Through what? The Valley of Blood, obviously. But the what? The wild animals, obviously. Right? Such as ravens, crows, even what? Even the wolves, obviously. And Eretat spies. Can what? Can kill them, obviously, right? As the wolves have no mercy for the humans, obviously. If a wolf sees a human, there's a good chance a wolf will kill the human, obviously. So there are two paths to Zanus. The first is through the area near Barak, obviously, through the Valley of the Blood. But the wild animals, ravens, crows, even the wolves and the Eretat spies, can kill them, obviously. Hence what? Hence, the humans have a fear of the wolves, obviously. Of the wolves, the demon wolves, obviously. And the wild animals. The cursed wild animals, obviously, right? Animals. Right? Right? Hence why Last of Us will be the best story ever told, man. There are two paths to Zanus. The second path, obviously, right? The second path is through the Western Gilead Mountains, obviously. Yeah. Right? But the road is dangerous, obviously, right? You have what? The wild jaguars, obviously, right? Mosquitoes in the mountains. And your way out of there, your only way out of the mountains is through the ancient Ancient what? Gilead City, obviously. And that's where the bats live. That's where what? Ephesus, obviously he's a devil, obviously. And his what? His bat army live. The road is dangerous, obviously, right? The road is dangerous. Hence, every Saladin's dream, if you read the book, every Saladin's dream is to live in Xanath, but the road to Xanath is dangerous. Why? Because there are two paths to Xanath. There's the first path, you have to pass through what? You have to go. Here's, I don't know, here's Cyrus, here's Sapphires. You have to pass through the Valley of the Blood, but Barak is here. And there's a good chance if you take that path, you might spot a wolf, or you might spot Eretat spies, you might spot wild crows, or wild ravens who can kill humans. Hence the road to Xanath is dangerous, obviously. The second path is through the Western Gilead Mountains, the Cursed Mountains. The road through the mountains is dangerous, and mosquitoes, you have the cursed mosquitoes that will bite the people. You have the wild cursed big jaguars that can kill you, obviously. And you have to pass through the ancient Gilead City where Ephesus and his demon bats live, who also kill humans, obviously. They hate humans. Right? Hence the road is dangerous to Xanath, obviously. You'll find what I mean by that when you read the book. Right? And hence why what? The Saladins are what? Every Saladin's dream is to live in Xanath, but the road to Xanath is dangerous, obviously. And the Northerns don't like the Saladins. And the Saladins don't like the Northerns. The Northerns look down on the Saladins, obviously. Right? What was I gonna say earlier? I have like 13 minutes left. I don't know. I have about 14 minutes left on my phone. I'm gonna end this video here soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because once I'm king, I'm piece the fuck out of this, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this part better than my last part because you can see the board better, obviously. Because I moved the board to the other side, obviously, right? Right. Yeah. So every Saladin's dream is to what? Every Saladin's dream is to what? It's to live in Xanath, but the road to Xanath is very dangerous, obviously. Right. Oh yeah. Eretat and the wolves are what? Are legends to the Saladins, obviously. As they've never seen Eretat before. And the ones who have seen the wolves died, obviously, right? Eretat and the wolves are legends to the Saladins. So there's stories. Horrid stories told about him, obviously. Because he has not what? He has not marked the south, obviously. What do you mean by mark the lands? You'll find out what I mean by that when you read the book. You have something called the land markings. So Eretat and the wolves are legends to the Saladins. So horrid stories were told about Eretat, obviously, but Eretat and the wolves are like legends to the Saladins. In other words, in the book, you'll find what I mean by the book. Eretat and the wolves are legends to the Saladins, so the horrid stories have been told to them, but they've never seen Eretat or the wolves. They've never seen Eretat or the wolves because Eretat has not marked the lands yet, obviously. You'll find what I mean by that when you read the book. The land, you have something called the land markings. So Eretat and the wolves are known as like legends to the Saladins, because Barak is about a day's journey from Sapphires and Cyrus, and the wolves live in Barak, and the wolves are like legends. Even though they know Eretat lives in Barak and all that stuff, the only thing they know about Eretat is the horrid stories that they told about what the Devil Wolf King in the south. Obviously, they're like legends to them. The only ones who know about the wolves are the Northerns, because the Northerns, what? Great wars have been what? Have been fought at the Blood Valley, right? Between what? Between what? Between the Northerns and the wolves, obviously. The wolves. So the only people who know, like Cassius Cassius and Myrmidons, they fought in wars before at the Blood Valley, so they know about Eretat and his wolves, obviously. Whereas the Southrons, the Southrons see the wolves as legends. Even though they know Eretat and the wolves exist, obviously, they've never seen Eretat or the wolves because Eretat has not marked the land yet, obviously. You'll find what I mean by that. What is the land marking? You'll find what I mean by that by the land markings, obviously. So great wars have been fought at the Blood Valley between the Northerns and the wolves in the past, obviously. So the Northerns know about the wolves, obviously. The army knows about the wolves, obviously, whereas the Southrons, they see Eretat and the wolves as legends. Only horrid stories have been told about Eretat and the wolves. And it's been passed down for generations, obviously. Right? Right? What else? 14 minutes left on my phone. Right? Oh yeah, the Safians create what? Forge weapons for the Xanians as tribute, obviously, right? I won't tell you what I mean by that as tribute. You'll see what I mean by that when you read the book. The Safians forge weapons for the Xanians, but I'm going to keep saying this, but the road to Xanius is dangerous, obviously. And they fear, the Southrons fear what? Fear the dangers, obviously, right? Right? So the Southrons deliver the weapons to the Xanians, I don't know, I don't explain in the book. Every couple of years they deliver weapons to the Xanians. But what they do is when they arrive to the wall, the Northerns have them drop the weapons at the wall and they send them back because the Northerns don't like the Southrons, obviously. They look down on them. So the Safians forge weapons for the Xanians, obviously, as tribute. You'll see what I mean by tribute when you read the book, obviously. But the road to Xanius is dangerous, and the Southrons fear the dangers, but they still have to deliver the weapons, obviously. But the road to Xanius is dangerous, obviously. As the people who deliver the weapons, they can get killed, obviously, right? Because it's dangerous. I'm going to keep saying this. The road from the south to the north is dangerous. I keep saying that. So the Safians forge weapons for the Xanians as tribute, but the road to Xanius is dangerous, and the Southrons fear the dangers, obviously, of the wolves, the devil wolves, the wild crows, the wild ravens, Eretat spies, they can kill humans. They fear all that, obviously. And the road from the south to the north is dangerous. And hence why Xanius will be what? The best story ever told in one motion picture. As you're looking at what? An amazing world that I fucking created for my book, obviously, right? There's so much. You have so much detail in the book. Yeah, man. I have like so much detail for my book that like I can't explain it all in one video because there's a lot of fucking detail, obviously. Right? I'll say this. You have Osiris and you have Esaphius. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but I'm going to just mention these guys real quick, obviously. Who is what? Who is Osiris? Right? He is, right? The what? He is, I'll say this. He is the originator of Cyrus, obviously. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the story for you. He's the originator of, no, I'll say this. I'm not going to spoil the story for you. I don't want to spoil the story for you. He is what? He is the what? The farmer and kitchen worker. Right, kitchen worker 10 generations ago. That's all I'm going to say. I won't spoil the story for you. 10 generations ago. Who is Esaphius? I don't want to spoil the story for you. You'll find out with that when you read the book. Who is Esaphius? Oh, Cyrus is a similar name in the land of Cyrus. Yeah, you'll find out with that when you read the book. Who is Esaphius? Right? He is what? A blacksmith 10 generations ago. 10 generations ago. Remember, 10 generations, a generation for my book is 100 years. A generation for what? For my last Hope for Zanius book is what? 100 years. You have to remember that. That way, so 10 generations is 1,000 years ago. It's 1,000 years ago, obviously. 10 generations. 10 generations is 1,000 years. Ivan, if Safius is the blacksmith 10 generations ago, how does that work? You'll follow me with that when you read the book, because I don't want to spoil the story for you. So Osiris was a farmer and kitchen worker from 10 generations ago, 1,000 years ago, and Safius is a blacksmith from 10 generations ago, and from 10 generations ago, which is 1,000 years. And they're Zanians. They're Zanians, obviously. All right, if they're Zanians, how does that work? You'll follow me with that. Both Osiris and Safi and Safius are Zanians. Ivan, how does that work? You'll follow me when you read the book. They're Zanians, and their name is Osiris and Safius. Osiris is a kitchen worker and farmer from 10 generations ago, and Safius is a blacksmith from 10 generations ago, and they're all what? They're all Zanians. I don't want to spoil the story for you. You'll follow me with that when you find out the history when you read my book, obviously. I don't want to spoil the story for you. I'm running out of time. I only have what? I have about 7 minutes left on my phone here. I'm going to end this video soon. To end it off, how am I going to end this series off? Right? I'm going to do this. If you want to wonder what my lands look like, I'm going to do this, okay? For Zanus, think something like Rivendell. For what? Rivendell. Think something like Rivendell for Zanus and for the north, obviously, right? Right. For Cyrus, think something like the Shire in Lord of the Rings. A nice farmland, right? Think something like the Shire for Cyrus. For Barak, think something like Isengard. Like a barren wasteland. Oh, it's wasteland? Right? For Safius, think something like Gondor. For Cyrus, you can think something like the Shire or Rohan, maybe. Something like Rohan. No. Something like the Shire. Think something like the Shire for Cyrus. For Barak, think something like Isengard. For Safius, think something like Gondor. If you want to what? If you're wondering what my world will look like. Think something like that, man. Will look like, obviously, right? Right. Think something like that, but 3 times what? Better than Avatar, obviously. 3 times better, right? 8K world, obviously. But the world looks more natural, obviously. As I'm putting what? I'm putting 380 million towards special effects, obviously, right? Just towards special effects. And 20 to what? 30 plus million towards set building. So if you're wondering what the world of Zanus will look like, think something for Zanus, think something like Rivendell, something like that, except 3 times better. You're looking at 8K world, better than Avatar, some more natural feel to it. For Cyrus, think something like the Shire and Lord of the Rings. For Barak, think something like Isengard. For Safius, think something like Gondor. For the ancient Gilead city, think something like Moria. Ancient Gileas City thinks something like Moria, except better, obviously. So for the ancient Gilead City, think something like Moria, obviously. Right? You look at something top notch, man. So for Zanus, think something like Rivendell. For Cyrus, think something like the Shire, Lord of the Rings. For Barak, think something like Isengard. For Sapphires, think something like Gondor. Something like that, a stone city, right? The ancient Gilead City think something like Moria, except better, obviously. If you're wondering what my world will look like, obviously. Think something like this, but 3 times better. 8K world, but the world looks more natural. $380 million for special effects, and 20 to 30 million towards set building. And that's why Last of Us will be what? The best story ever told in motion picture, obviously. Right? Right? Right. I'm going to end the video here. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my extended my extended parts for my when I talked about in depth of my world building for my Last of Us book. And that's why Last of Us will be the best story ever told. Yes, even better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I'm not kidding around. Last of Us, if it's done right, you're looking at a better story than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. That's how good Last of Us is. If it's done right. If it's not done right, it will not be better than Lord of the Rings. As Lord of the Rings is the best. Lord of the Rings is considered what? I'm gonna say this right here, okay? The Lord of the Rings trilogy is what? Arguably, spelling arguably wrong. The best movie trilogy ever made. And yet, Last Hope for Zanus, if done right, will be a better movie. That's ballsy for me to say that, obviously, right? Ballsy for me to say that, obviously. I'm not kidding around. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is arguably the best movie trilogy ever made, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is the best movie trilogy ever made. I don't think anything can top that. And yet, Last War of Zanus, if done right, will be a better movie. Ballsy for me to say that, but I'm telling you right now, Last War of Zanus, if it's done right, you're looking at a better movie trilogy than even the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Look, I gave you guys an in-depth detail about my book. You guys already know how good my book is. You already know how good my movie will be if it's done right. You're looking at a better movie than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings if it's done right. And yet, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is arguably the best movie trilogy ever made. Obviously. Right? Right. Well, this is it for this video. I'm officially ending my Last of Us book series. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be what? Finished formatting. All I have to do is just hire a formatting company to format my book, and my book is ready for use on Lulu. That's my wife is showing for joy. Obviously, where you roll pack your asses off. Stay tuned for my next video, which is my Phase 6 announcement, my final Phase 6 announcement. I'm gonna announce what I finished formatting. This is Ivan Amer, and I'll also show you my map in my next video. I was gonna show my map in this video, but I forgot. I'll show you my map in my next video. In the beginning of my Phase 6 announcement, I'll show you my map that I created. That way you guys have an idea of the world I created for my book, obviously. Right? Stay tuned for my next Phase 6 announcement. You better not take from Ground Walls. Once I pay, so I'm peace out my wife. So stay tuned for my next Phase 6 announcement. This is Ivan Amer. I'm signing out. Peace.